the consideration of others, no smoking or vaping of any substance. Also, the consideration of others, we ask you keep your conversations to a minimum. If you must converse with somebody here on the phone, best place to do that is going to be on the lower deck so as to not distract people listening to the tour. Access to the lower deck is going to be at the rear of the vessel, so if you start talking towards where Olivia is or an orange light ring, you will see the stairs. Please make sure you use the handrails going down, coming back up the stairs. Don't linger at the top, bottom, or on them. Not the safest place to be. But you're welcome to make your way around the vessel anytime you like. If you want to go visit the bar or go visit the heads or restrooms. Yes, we do have restrooms on board. Ladies' room is going to be on the right-hand side of the boat. Men's will be on the left-hand side. They're again going to be on the lower deck towards the front of the boat. Front of the boat is pretty much where everybody is looking. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to talk to one of the crew. We're here to make sure that you have a fantastic as well as safe experience. I'm going to hand things over to Lynn and we will get started. Welcome aboard.
Let me get untied here. Okay, good enough. So, would you please help me thank the best captain, the best crew, and the best bartenders on the river? We couldn't do this without them. They literally are the best on the river. So, you have chosen a perfect day, and in my humble opinion, the perfect way to explore Chicago, and that is on the river. And I say that because Chicago would not be here without the river. What are those three principles of real estate? Location, location, and what's the other one? Ooh, very good class. Location. Yeah, the waterways were the superhighways for thousands of years, and how countless people have come to this area, explored, settled, and created my favorite city in the whole wide world. We are starting in what's known as Ogden Slip. This was a man-made inlet dug to increase the length of the riverbank to accommodate industries like the meatpacking companies, lumber yards, grain elevators, factories, and buildings like you see at our dock, warehouses. That's what lined the river much of the 18 and 1900s. Again, the idea was bring your goods in through these waterways, store them temporarily in a warehouse, then load them onto a wagon, later onto a train to destinations farther west. This is one of 4 warehouses that lined the slip here. They were wholesale furniture warehouses called the Pew Terminal, built in the early 1900s. And while this one is still standing, it's no longer serving as a warehouse. It's now commercial, retail, and residential space, a concept that we call adaptive reuse, or from warehouse to your house. So we will see a number of red brick buildings along the way. When we do, we'll think warehouse, we'll think adaptive reuse. How are we reusing these old buildings in the 21st century? But today we have countless people living and working along the river in skyscrapers. And that's what we will focus on as our skyscrapers. And that's appropriate because Chicago is arguably the home of the world's first skyscraper. Built back in 1885, William LeBaron Jenney invented a new method of construction called an internal metal frame. Now, prior to this, we've been building buildings the same way for thousands of years. One layer of stones or bricks holds up the next layer, holds up the next layer. Those are called load-bearing walls. In other words, you see the walls you see on the outside and the inside, they're holding up the building. Now, there's lots of problems with that. It's time-consuming. It's expensive. The higher you go, the thicker the walls have to be at the base. And in fact, today, Chicago has the highest masonry office building in the world. It's only 16 stories tall, but at the base, the walls are 6 feet thick. In addition, when you start taking out stones or bricks out of load-bearing walls for things like, doors and windows, you start affecting the integrity of the structure. So the internal metal frame changed all that. You can think of that as your bones and your muscles. That's what's holding you up. And then your skin is like the facade of the building. It's there to separate the internal environment from the external environment and to look pretty, but it has no structural component whatsoever. Now that first skyscraper, or cloudbuster, as they called it, soared into the sky just 10 stories. Now another way of thinking about it is load-bearing walls is like building with Legos. Internal metal frames is like building with Tinker Toys. Now who remembers Tinker Toys? Where are my peeps? Okay, so you'll explain it to